Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum, and welcome to another Christmas edition of Remakes and Continuations with my co-host Scott Harding from the You Run podcast.
Hello, another year of another Christmas episode of the same damn movie.
You bullied me into this.
No, you said last year we had to do this one, and then you tried
And then I
backing
changed my
out of
mind,
it.
and you wouldn't let me change my mind.
Yeah, no, I just made you stick to what you promised your viewers,
Fine.
our viewers.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
said you were like, people deserve this. That's what you.
Yeah, this is our Christmas gift to you. You may suffer like we did again.
Oh my God. So, in case it's not super obvious, we are covering is 2019.
Yeah.
Black Christmas remake.
Yeah. Last time, was it 2006? The last one?
Yeah, something like that.
This one is considerably better than the last one.
Yes. I went into this with, I didn't watch a trailer for this or anything because, as you know, the original Black Christmas is very near and dear. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I love that film. And so I completely swore off remakes because I felt so strongly about the fact that there was never going to be a good one. It just was not going to happen. And I've heard so many people say that the reason this doesn't work is because it's nothing like Black Christmas. Like if they had just done a movie not related to the title of Black Christmas, there are people who feel it would have been better received.
I agree. This is not Black Christmas.
No, in no way, shape, or form.
No, it's also not a good movie, but it's better than the last attempt at a remake. It's really not. It's so wishy-washy at the start. The lead actress, I have to say, has the worst hair of anyone in a horror movie.
Imogen, her hair always looks like that. It was like that in the remake of Fright Night.
It's dreadful. Someone get that girl a hairdresser.
I really like her, though. As an actress, great. I like her.
Yeah, but her hair is bad.
That's why Scott didn't like this movie. He couldn't get past the haircut.
No, my problems around this movie lie with the cast outside of the main group of girls. The whole frat boy jock thing. I hate that. We don't have frat houses here in the UK.
Oh, okay.
It's not something we do. We don't have, like, I don't know. We don't have these mini cults on our That's university good. Campuses. I just find the whole thing bizarre.
Yeah, I think that the biggest struggle for me is the original Black Christmas is very pro-choice, very much a statement horror about women and kind of their place in the world. But it does it in a way that you get it, but it is not spoon-fed to you. And in this, It is spoon-fed to you with every line, every scene, every action. And the message is not what I have a problem with, because I like that part of it. That sticks true to Black Christmas in that regard, at least. But we don't need every little line and pun to be just spoon-fed this message. Like, we get it. And it's so overly saturated with it. And it just got to the point. I mean, they're using things like boys will be boys and trying to be funny with like your body, your choice. And like, there's so much of it. And you're just like, we get it. Can we just focus on something else, you know?
And the thing I really hate is, like, I've got a real issue with using sexual assault as a drive and a motivator in a horror movie. Yep. I've got a real issue with it because it's something that you don't need. They didn't need that element in this movie to make it work. Nope. But they focused everything around that and around this one guy he'd returned, and then all the evil come back with him, and it was just such bullshit. I fully believe that all these frat houses are all mini little cults like this anyway. I think I think frat houses and fraternity houses are a very toxic environment, and it's a 100%. Very
Yep.
Yeah, it's not something I think is a good thing to be portrayed. And they portray the frat house in a very bad light, which I think is probably quite accurate. But
Mm-hmm.
they play the, is it fraternity? Like, yeah, the ladies of the fraternity house in a very positive light. And I don't think it is. I think that still has the same negative vibes
Oh, the
that the
girls is the sorority.
sorority has. I think that that environment is still as negative and is
Just
still
as bad.
as toxic as the, but in
Yep.
this movie is very much a men are bad, girls are great. Men, like literally for the whole movie, it's like they're thumping me in the head with it. And I
Mm-hmm.
get it. And it's factually correct. There is a big portion of men who are assholes and a big portion of ladies who are very nice. However, it's not a true representation because there is one guy in this who's kind of good, but he's
Mm-hmm.
not really. And there's not a single girl in this who's a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
Even the one who kind of betrays them ish, she's not a bad person.
Yeah. Well, and I felt like they had a couple of times where I thought, were going to bring up valid points, like having women that are problematic for other women who have been through things, or are women that are like, so like you have the one friend that like concedes. And I was like, okay, so we're also gonna touch on this concept that like there are women who are just as bad because they don't stick up for things. They think it's fine for it to be this way. Like I like, but then what they would do is they would do things like they would touch on it, but then they just go so far off the rails with it that the messaging just gets convoluted and turned into something else. And it loses all of the what could have been good of it. And the same thing with like when Riley is the main character. When she's arguing with the main friend and she says, she's like, you're the one always pushing me to do, like, I think some of those points could have been really strong, valid statements, but then again, they just went completely off the rails with it. And so then
Yeah.
you're just like, well, I thought that was going somewhere positive, and then it ended up being something crazy.
Yeah, and this movie kind of goes nowhere for a long portion of time.
Yeah.
Is like you get a kill at the beginning, then it kind of plods and doesn't really do anything, doesn't really give us any exposition. Then it kind of starts to pick up, then it gets a bit weird, and then it just, I don't know, they just give up. I think about the third act, they just give up and went, what could we do that would be different? Let's do this.
Yeah, so the premise of this is supposed to be, it's the same setup as the original Black Christmas. We're on a college campus right before everybody's going home for holiday break, and there's these couple things that the sorority house is doing before everyone kind of goes and does their own thing, and there's only so many of people that are going to be left, on campus because it's holiday break. And the backstory is Riley was assaulted at I guess the prior year or something by someone who is
Yeah.
no longer at the school, but he was part of the fraternity. And so there's like, but the premise is that the school was built around this guy called Calvin Hawthorne or something, who was like a massive, massive, massive misogynistic asshole, and just was very, what all of the things that encompasses. And so, there's this cult, I think, is probably sets it up the best, but it's
Yeah.
multiple, it's like all of the guys on campus, it's like the main fraternity, but then there's like people not even in the fraternity related. And so the best friend of Riley had the bust of this guy removed from the premises because of what it represented, and they now get this black ooze that gives them magic powers to like fight all of the women on campus for being women and not being their whatever, I don't know. So it
Yeah.
gets very like, it goes from slasher to supernatural, and I think that was a big mistake.
Yeah, it's really odd. And I'm going to say the design of the costumes, and they wanted it to be Ghostface. They
Yeah, the
desperately wanted
cloaks
it
and the
to.
mask.
Yeah, they desperately. I tell you what, they looked very similar to like Death Eaters from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
That's what they reminded me of. I will say I do genuinely appreciate a bow and arrow as a weapon in a movie, and it's used to great effect in this. I was really pleased when the first guy showed up and he starts firing arrows around. I was like, that's great. And then when
Yeah,
the girl gets hold of it and she starts firing, I was like, this is brilliant. I love, like,
yeah,
any movie, regardless of horror movie or not, my weapon of choice, I think it's so cool to see people use it, is a bow and arrow.
Yeah. Yeah, I
It's
like that. I thought that was really good. I actually thought all of the fighting sequences were really well done. The when it, before it turned into not being, because I'm still thinking slasher
yeah,
up to a certain point. So I liked that. I really, I don't think that, other than like the supernatural things, I think we already know pretty much early on like who's involved. It's not like it's not like this big crazy reveal where like not the teacher. Like you're like, yeah, of course. Like I don't know. Like so those kind of things, it just seems like that was really predictable. But I thought all of the fight sequences and stuff I thought were really good. I felt like those were probably a strength. I didn't even the one in the end, as like silly as the atmosphere and everything kind of around that was, I did like the like charging thing of like everybody just kind of fighting it out and seeing what happens.
yeah. The thing is that end scene is very like some of the girls pick up some more girls, and then they all go to the frat house, and then
Yeah.
they kick open the door, and I was kind of like, oh, really? It's like the bit where they're going, oh, we should go to the police. Oh, we can't go to the police because there's 5 bodies in our house. Well, you can go to the police because there's 5 bodies in your house, because they are all masked assailants holding either a bow and arrow or a big knife. I'm pretty sure the police will go, actually, do you know what? These look like these were the attackers and you took them down. Well done, girls.
Yeah, and I think some of that is supposed to play into, in the original Black Christmas, they didn't believe anything that was going on. The cops were like, treated them like, that's handled better in that one for sure. But I think the other thing that they were attempting to message was women not being believed. But again, it was messaging that was handled really poorly. And then it just
Mm.
didn't make any sense because, to your point, there's multiple people in mask and cloaks. And like, that's not normal. Like,
No. And not just in one location, in multiple locations.
multiple sorority houses.
Yeah, it's not like it's a one-off. There's someone's broken in, all the girls have like rallied around him and killed him.
Yeah.
It's happened in multiple houses. Even the dumbest cop in the world would tie that together quite quickly.
Well, and then they killed
Speak.
the cop, the one that's on the campus
I,
police or whatever.
I was just about to say, and speaking of dumb police, the guy on the campus annoyed me a lot. He did make me chuckle when she went and tried telling him, and he's like, "So you're saying your friend's missing?" Yes, she's missing. When did she go missing? Well, earlier today. She's not got home yet. Did you think maybe she'd get in traffic? And I liked the fact he was asking the right questions, but in such a bad way that even though he's trying to help, they made the guy look like a bad guy, and he wasn't a bad guy. And they didn't
Yeah.
need to do that. He could have been a helpful guy, because then I would have actually given a shit when they killed him later.
Yeah.
But because they made him, they painted him in a way that he came across as the arsehole, but he wasn't. He was just kind of trying to do his job. And he did
And
take
ask
her out.
questions that made sense.
Yeah, and he took her out to the frat house to have a look. And then he offered her a lift back. And at this point, she thinks people from the frat house are trying to get her. She's like, no, I'll stay
No,
here.
I'll just linger.
But why would you do that? There's lots of bad choices in this, and they annoy me.
You know why I hated the cop? Because
Why?
of the alarming amount of packaged mayo he put on that sandwich.
Do you think that was
I
a
was
lot?
like, gross. I was so grossed out by that point, I couldn't even pay attention to what he was saying.
Do you think that was not a lot of mayo for a sandwich?
I don't put mayo. I hate mayonnaise.
Oh, I am.
Hate
I don't
it.
know. Quarter of an inch thick mayo everywhere. And if I make a
like
if I make
2 normal pieces of bread, 1 piece of meat, and like 3 packs of fucking mayo.
yeah,
Gross.
so if I make a sandwich, it's going to be bread, mayo, ham, mayo, lettuce, mayo,
Ugh.
cheese, mayo, pickled mayo, then the top on.
Mayo grosses me out so bad. I was like, oh, I don't like him. That's too much mayo.
Oh no, there's nothing wrong with mayo.
That was my takeaway from Black Christmas 2019.
Yeah, this guy has too much mayo. There's elements of this that work.
Mhm.
I love it. I love a religious cult. I love the idea
Yeah.
of religious cult movies.
Yeah.
They do this in a very ham-handed way,
Yeah.
but the essence of it is there. I wish they'd focused more on the cult element of it and less on the girls. I wish we'd seen more of the cult, because we get to the point where the cult is uncovered that they've got superpowers, and they explain that by just showing us once where they like put a bit of the goop on his head and now he's possessed. It's like I need, and they give us the exposition like at the end, because the main villain always reveals his full plan and exactly how everything works, which I'm like, oh, come on, it's stupid. Tell me that earlier. Do that in a couple of scenes and show me. Don't tell me as you tell the main protagonist. That's not how you do this.
I would have preferred. I agree with the more of the cult stuff, but I would have actually preferred the possession element be removed
Yeah,
and
yeah,
just had them just be like shitty people. A teacher manipulating very easily to manipulate people, like in a situation because he got offended that they're trying to get him fired. Like, I think that that's just as reliable as the rest of the setup for the story. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
I don't know what, because they could have done that. I literally, you could make 3 or 4 cuts to this movie and that would be the movie. I
Yeah.
don't understand why they went paranormal. I mean, there's a bit where they kill a couple of these people coming to get them. It's like, oh, and then they turn the lights. It's like, look, it's not blood. It's not
It's
blood.
not
It's like,
blood.
oh, it's black goop. Oh, I wonder why it's black goop. And then you sort of go,
Yeah,
oh, I
I
know why.
actually was. This is so crazy. I immediately was like, "Oh, maybe they're androids,"
I went aliens.
and
I
both
went,
would have been better than demonic possession or whatever.
yeah, I instantly went body snatchers. That's where we are with this movie. And I was quite excited at that
I
point.
went androids. I was like, "Oh, they're robots."
Yeah, it's just such. I've come to the conclusion that Black Christmas cannot be remade properly because people are stupid.
Yeah, I genuinely, I had already felt that way, but now that I've seen them all, I definitely stand by that.
The thing is,
It's
though,
rough.
Black Christmas is a really easy movie to remake. It's a really simple premise that just works, and it's paced out well, and it just beat for beat for beat goes through and tells you what. It's literally like paint by numbers. Do that, but give it a modern twist, and you will have a decent remake. It's not difficult.
But that's the thing is like that's what they keep doing is trying to make it different. And instead they make it so different that it's not watchable. Like this one, I will tell you, this one way better than the other one we watched.
Yeah,
I
yeah, way,
hated the other one.
yeah. This
But I
doesn't.
mean, that's what they do. They keep trying to make it unique and then they just go so far crazy with it that it ends up just being a weird movie.
Yeah, and this movie ended, and I went, okay. That's where I was. I kind of went, all right. Like I sat and watched this with Lisa. Lisa doesn't watch a lot of the movies with me, but this one she's like, oh, I fancy this. I'll give this a go.
Yeah.
About halfway through, when it went all sort of possessed demons, she went, "This is stupid." I was like, "Yes, it is." I was like, "This is really stupid." And like, there's just so many bits that they could have done so much better, and it's just, I don't know if it's lack of care or desire to stand out, but this felt very much like a box ticking exercise for, how do I word this without potentially offending someone? I'll just word it how I'm going to word it. This felt very much like a tick box for a feminist watching.
Yeah.
And I have nothing wrong with feminism at all, but this is very much like a, what would a feminist want our antagonist to do here? This.
And that's what I
What would
was
a
going to say. Yeah. I was going to say, I think that that's the issue is they got so wrapped up in what they wanted to communicate as a message that it took over everything else so that nothing else made any sense. Like I don't know, like the pieces, I think the pieces for this to have been better are there. They just focused on the wrong things. That's how it feels.
Yeah, I mean, you had the one guy who's quite a sweet guy actually, who meets
Landon,
the
yeah.
yeah, and he's genuinely nice, and he gets kind of wrangled into the cult, and he overpowers his
For
possession,
5 minutes.
which was weird. But even he's the only good male character in this, but they make that character a weak character that
Uh-huh.
doesn't have any kind of decision making abilities on his own. He's always guided by what the females want him to do. Even when he fights back, he needs to be rescued by the girls. It's a very, I would argue, this is borderline sexist against men movie. It's that far, they've pushed the message that far that it's very much like, wow, this is an anti-men film.
Yeah, it's so far over. Yeah, it's weird. And then also for his only tie-in to be as a potential love interest, it's dumbing it down even further.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I don't have an issue with people making a movie that is very, very anti-men. Some of those movies work fabulously and they tell a really good story, and
Yeah.
they really hammer home the bad elements of toxic masculinity and
Yeah.
masculinity in general, and they hammer home the bad elements of behavior that's associated with that. But
Mhm.
in this, they just took the most extreme elements of that,
Yeah.
lumped them all into like four characters, and just made them display them all the time.
Just
Even
hit you
like,
with it over and over again.
yeah, even like the girl who's got her boyfriend who's kind of in their sorority house.
Mhm.
And like they've done this thing where they've done a song which I thought was quite funny, where they called the guy out for sexual assault, and they've done it at the
Mhm.
frat party's like farewell thing, and then they all run
Mhm.
away, and that's what caused all the messages.
Mhm.
Her boyfriend sat there, and he's been kind of okay all the way through,
And
and
then
even
all of
he
a
has a
sudden,
moment, yeah, just completely snaps. And people don't change their personality like that. That's not a real thing.
nope. No,
And
he
he
was
just
like
goes,
there to do the Christmas tree. He was like, when they went to get them, he was like super cute and funny with them, and everything was perfect. And then all of a sudden they get back and he's like yelling at her about holding the tree. He's not taking anything anybody's saying seriously. He's like drinking out of nowhere and talking about, like, it got weird.
yeah, I mean, I know the holidays does funny things to people, but he had a
It seems a bit
massive,
stretched.
yeah. And it's the fact that he's like, what did you expect? And if I'm honest, I kind of got what he was saying. It's like, you went into the frat house, you done a song about your sexual assault to the person who sexually assaulted you and all of his friends and made him look an absolute cock. And now you're surprised that you're getting aggressive messages from random numbers. And he had a valid point, but again, it was delivered in a way that he just threw all of his toys out of the pram and he was shouting and screaming. So his valid point was just lost.
Oh my God. And then when he's like, someone hurts my girl and blah blah blah. And I was like, oh my God, like
Yeah,
too much.
I think if I went to this college, I think probably 85% of the male cast I would have punched at some point or another at
Me
my
too.
time at that school.
Yep.
Because the main guy, the one who committed the sexual assault, I hated him
Yeah.
from the second. I did think they were going to switch it up, and turned out that he hadn't done it. And
Yeah.
I think that would have been a more interesting avenue had they gone that way.
Hmm.
Had they switched it up, that it turned out that she had bent the truth and it was consensual, that would have been a very, very different twist to this movie. And I think that would have kind of flipped it on its head a little bit and made everyone go, oh shit, so she's the bad guy. That would have been a better take for this, I think.
Yeah, I don't think I agree, but mostly because that's not really what Black Christmas is supposed to be. It's
No,
supposed to
it's
just
not.
be this very subtle messaging about dynamics. And I think you can do that without trashing every male character that you have and every like But I also think if they had done that, I think it would have really pissed people off. I don't think that one would have been very well received. But
No,
I just think in general, like if you're going to make something in the spirit of something, that's fine. But it was just too much. It was just oversaturated.
yeah, and the fact they called it Black Christmas, there is nothing that ties this to Black Christmas minus the fact that they're getting messages,
Yeah.
and their
And
text
there's
messages.
also a cat.
There is a cat. Yeah. What did you
That's
think of the kills in this?
a little.
Yeah,
They were a little like what's the word? Not refrain, but they were a little tame.
yeah. Teen movie type.
Yeah.
I don't know what audience this was aimed at. I think that's where I'm not the target audience for this.
I don't think I am either.
I don't know if this is aimed at people who are at this time in their life. Because as a cautionary tale of men are assholes, it's a good cautionary tale. It does need to show the flip side that some men are not assholes, but as a cautionary tale, if you showed this is the sort of movie that I would show to my daughter when she hits like 15, 16.
Mm-hmm.
Have a watch of this. Have a look at how nasty men can be.
Yeah.
But that's a dad going, look, I want my daughter to realize that the world is full of nasty, horrible men. But I
Yeah.
also want her to know there are nice men out there as well.
Yeah.
And it's finding that balance. And I don't think this movie finds that balance. And again, even with the female characters, half of the female characters are completely unlikable.
Yeah. No, they are. And the best friend quickly becomes unlikable. It doesn't take long for you to turn on her too.
No, and the only saving grace she's got is where she bursts in at the end with the bow and arrow and starts firing arrows around. And I can't emphasize enough how much I love bow and arrows. I like our backdrop now. It's like she's pointing the arrow straight at my forehead.
It works.
The thing I think this also missed was the Christmas feel. It didn't have a Christmassy vibe to it.
No, it had Christmas in it, but it didn't feel like Christmas.
Yeah, it missed that kind. So the original Black Christmas feels like a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
The 2006 Black Christmas feels like a Christmas movie, a really shit Christmas movie, but it still feels like a Christmas movie. This feels like a summer campus slasher that they've stuck a Christmas tree up in the background.
It did not feel Christmassy at all. I agree with that. Yeah.
No.
So what do you rate this?
Oh, I don't know. It's not high, but it's not as bad. I don't know. It's a 3. It's a 3 out of 10.
I would give it 4 out of 10, I think.
Yeah, it's got some elements that are good, and some of the stuff in this works, but it's so overcrowded with so much stuff that doesn't work, and the fact that they do cram their message down your throat for literally the entire runtime, like from the very, very opening scene where you get her sat in the classroom, and the teacher like pinpoints her, so you hear an answer of a question. Everyone puts their hands up apart from her, and he pinpoints her out. Instantly, you're like, they're ramming down the throat. That dude's a bad dude, and she's a nice girl because we just saw her doing something nice 2 minutes ago, and she was nice to her friends in the sorority house. And it follows that tone all the way through. And some movies can do that and can pull it off because they're making valid points, whereas this is just like generic guy be arsehole. There's no reason necessarily for it. I don't know. It just felt really underdeveloped and undercooked, and it just felt like they threw it together and slapped the name Black Christmas on it because they thought it'd make money.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Yeah, it was too much of a message and not enough of anything else. And then the little bit of story we got was just so wild and outlandish. It just didn't work.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll remake Black Christmas for my next movie.
There you go.
Yeah, I probably won't. Um, do you know when is this episode coming out?
I'll probably do it like the week before Christmas,
Okay. Well,
whenever that is.
if this is out before the 20th of December, on the 20th of December, my movie's out. If it's out after the 20th of December, my movie's out.
It should
So
be. It'll be after, I think. I'm looking at the calendar. December. Yeah, I'll probably do it the week before. So the 19th probably.
Yeah. So watch this, and when you finish watching this, because this movie was bad, go watch my movie, and then you can tell me if that was bad or good. I'm hoping it gets better scored than this.
Yeah. I'm not worried.
I am.
Well, by then I'll be able to have a link, right? I'll be able to put a link in the description.
Yeah. So you'll have a copy. Yeah, we're in November now. You'll have a copy in about 10 days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah, getting close. Scary. But yeah, Black Christmas 2016, 18, whenever this come out. It's trash. Don't watch it. Go watch Gremlins.
And we are done with Christmas, with Black Christmas remakes.
Yeah, next year's Red Christmas.
I don't know what that is.
It's like Black Christmas, infinitely worse. No, we won't do that. We'll pick a decent Christmas. But should we do Gremlins next year?
Yeah, just to do it.
Yeah. Should we do a double bill? Should we do Gremlins and Gremlins 2 on the same episode? Do an extended one.
God, I love both of those so much. I would be down.
Gremlins is great. Gremlins 2 is so much better because Gremlins 2 is exactly what happens if you give a production team as much cocaine as they could possibly take and no control whatsoever.
It's so fun. I love 2. 2 is my son's favorite too because it's got them changing into all kinds of different stuff. He loves that one.
Yeah, they change into all sorts of different stuff. It has a fourth wall break where Hulk Hogan talks to the TV.
Hilarious. When we watched it for the first time, my son was like, "What happened to the movie?" And I was like, "Just watch." And he was like, it was so funny watching him process it as a small child. It was really funny.
Yeah, the first watch for my daughter this year for Gremlins.
Oh, so good. Love it. Well, we hope you guys have a Merry Christmas and a great New Year because this is it for us until next year.
Yeah. So. We'll be back next year with more remakes and continuations. We got some good ones next year, some really good ones.
Yeah, there's still plenty we haven't covered in general. So yeah.
Yeah, we could run this series every single week, 52 weeks a year for the next 5 years and still not have scratched the surface of all the remakes that we could cover. Yeah,
there's much. So, okay. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us in this episode of Remakes and Continuations. Hope you guys have a happy, safe holiday, and we will see you in the new year.
And make sure you drink lots over Christmas and eat lots too.
That too.
See you later.